Broadcasting live to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and so much more. This is Go Live with Restream from your host, Ian Anderson Gray, the show that helps you expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video.
Hello, Ian Anderson Gray here. This is exciting. This is episode 2 of the Go Live with Restream show, broadcasting to a plethora of different destinations, which is exciting. And this brand new show is powered by Restream, which helps you expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video. So today, as always, broadcasting to Facebook, YouTube. I've had to write this down because there's so many. LinkedIn Live, Twitch, Periscope, D Live, and so much more. So thanks so much for watching. If you're watching the replay, do put hashtag replay in the comments. It's always good to know if you are watching the replay. And also, if you're watching live, if you just joined us, let me know where in the world you are watching from. Last week, we had quite a few from Toronto in Canada, which made me want to cry because that's kind of where we were going to be in a couple of weeks' time, but we're not. We're going to carry on in the UK, but we do have a vacation booked, which is nice. So that's great. Okay, cool. I can see that Diego is in the room and he says, hi guys, will this stream be available afterwards to be watched? Absolutely, it is. So depending on where you're watching, so on Facebook and YouTube, either to my channels at iag.me or Restream's channels, this will be available as a replay. So don't worry about that if you can't stay. But obviously, if you can, that would be great. So other lovely live viewers here. We've got Melissa from just down the road in Sandbach in the UK, which is great. Jonathan says, live in ATX. Is this where you are? I live near Manchester in the UK. So that's where I am. And we've got PAZ watching from South America. And Deborah Kate is here from Virginia in the USA. Fabulous. Well, keep those comments coming. That'll be great. Today, I'm going to be sharing about how to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video. Do you feel confident in pressing that go live button? Or do you quiver in your shoes? And are you really scared? And it could be one of three things. It might be that you feel you're not confident with getting in front of the camera. It could be with the tech and gear. And it could be with the content and marketing side of things. I don't know. But before I get on with that side of things, I just want to let you know a little bit more about Restream. Restream is what powers this show. And it's in partnership. I'm doing this in partnership with Restream. If I can get my words out, Restream is awesome. If you just go to iag.me/Restream, let me put that on the screen. iag.me/Restream. You can find out more. You can sign up for a free account as well. Restream is the complete multi-streaming service for entrepreneurs. And I love it because it's so easy to use. It allows you to either use a third-party tool like Ecamm Live or OBS Studio if you want to get a bit techie, or you can go directly into Restream and use the Restream Studio feature, which is awesome. So all you need to do with that is just log on, go in your browser, go to Restream Studio, and you can go live to all these different platforms. In fact, over 30 different destinations, which is amazing. You can now bring in guests. You can have up to 9, well, in fact, you can have up to 10 people on the screen at the same time. And there's loads of other cool stuff like being able to play pre-recorded video and loads more coming. As well as that, you also have analytics, so you can see how you're doing with your streams. So for example, if you have a bit of a, I don't know, you get a bit boring halfway through, you can see if that happens and see the watch time and how many people are viewing. And you can learn from that and improve your live shows. If you're feeling really, really scared about going live, of course, there's the really cool scheduler feature in Restream, or as we say in the UK, scheduler feature, which allows you to broadcast pre-recorded video live. And I think one of the most exciting things, so I can see lots of comments coming through. This is the bit that I love about Restream, is the fact that you can see all the comments from all the different destinations that you broadcast to. So if you're going live to LinkedIn, you can see the comments, and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, which is awesome. So all you need to do is go to iag.me/Restream. I'm going to put that up on the screen. iag.me/Restream. There's a free plan. There are some paid plans, and you can have a little play. It is awesome. Cool. So my name's Ian Anderson-Gray. I am the founder of the Confident Live Marketing Academy. I've been live streaming for the past 4 or 5 years, or actually probably longer than that, but I've been teaching and training people around the world how to live stream confidently. So let's go and have a look at the comments. Let's see who we've got here. We've got York 21022. Have I pronounced that right? Yes. From Taiwan. Great to see you. Paul is watching from Portsmouth. Martin Buckland is here. My good friend Martin is watching from Toronto, which is awesome. Oh, just down the road, we've got Ort watching from Manchester. Fabulous. Great to see you. Tim Thorne is here. Great to see you, Tim. Hope you're doing well. And we've got a question here from Jonathan Falcon. So let's just see what this is. I think it's quite a big question, so I might not be able to answer all of this on the screen. If you do have any questions, by the way, throughout this, just let me know. The guys from Restream are also here, so they'll be able to answer your questions. But this is a big question. So Jonathan asks, I've been using you guys for a while, but I've noticed that I get more viewers when I don't use your guys and just use OBS. Almost seems like YouTube and Twitch can see the Restream encoder and suppress the stream. That's a really interesting question. And this is a question that's actually been going around for a while. Do services, destinations like YouTube and Facebook somehow demote videos when you use a third-party tool? Like, you know, it could be Restream, or it could be Ecam Live or OBS or whatever. Now, the answer to that question is actually no, as far as the research's gone. There's been many companies out there that have done research into this to see whether that is true, because some people have seen that. Now, I've actually seen the opposite. I've seen that actually, if you use these services, the reach can actually go up. And I think it comes down to the fact that the amount of reach and the number of views that you have is dependent on so many different things. For example, it can be to do with the time of day. It can be to do with, do you schedule it? Do you not schedule it? All those kinds of things. And also sometimes, and I'm sure this is not the case for you, Jonathan, but sometimes I think that when we use a tool and we schedule it, sometimes we can become a little bit lazy. So I don't think the evidence shows that that is not the case. Using a third-party tool doesn't hurt that. And Facebook have actually come out, certainly not, they haven't actually said this with regards to live video, but certainly with using scheduling tools, they have basically said that isn't the case. And all the research shows that that isn't the case. I would basically just experiment with this and try it a little bit more, try it at different times. Which is great. Awesome. Some other comments here. So Rob is here. Rob is here saying, good morning, Sir Ian. Thank you very much. And it says, I love this pop-up captioning, which is great. So I think is watching on Facebook. So on Facebook, you can actually set up auto captioning, auto transcription of the of what I'm saying. So I don't know how good it is. Let me know. We'll see how we get on with that. But right, well, let's get on with the main topic of the show, which is how it's basically a presentation on how you can level up your impact and authority using live video. So let me just get onto this. Let's hope the tech is working. Keep the comments coming, and if you've got any questions, let me know. That would be awesome. So you can see my head scrolling around there. So back in the day, does anyone remember this old thing? Google Hangouts on Air. Anyone remember that? This was my first experience in the world of live video. We tend to think live video is like a really, really new thing that's only been out for 2 years. But Google Plus came out in, I feel like it was 2011. I think that's right, 2011. And I was just starting out in the blogging world and social media world. And Google Hangouts on Air was Google's live video platform. It allowed you to broadcast effectively to YouTube. You could have up to 10 guests on this. And it was way ahead of its time, really. But I was asked to come on to a Google Hangouts on Air show. And how did I feel? I felt a bit like this. I felt really scared. There was something about going live on screen, showing my face. I felt really, really scared. In fact, possibly I felt a little bit like this. I was really, really petrified about this. Rob is, I don't know what he's saying, a little bit. I'm not sure what he's saying there, but let me know, Rob. What was Rob? What was your first experience with live video? Did you feel nervous? I would love to know. Let me know. Yeah, and it says the great use of smooth transitions too. Oh, well, thank you very much. So yeah. And yeah, somebody in one of my Facebook groups, I can't see who you are, says Google Hangouts on Air was ace. Definitely was. It was awesome. So, yeah, I felt absolutely petrified. But then in 2016, Facebook Live came out. And really one of the only ways of broadcasting to Facebook Live at the time from your computer was using software called OBS Studio. Unfortunately, it was really, really difficult to use. And in fact, I'm just going to move myself up there so you can see a little bit better. Really difficult to use. So I wrote an article, this one here, how to broadcast from your computer to Facebook Live. It had over 5.7 million page views, went viral, completely mad. But there was one problem. One problem with this. You know, I was talking about live video, but I wasn't actually going live, or very, very rarely, because I was scared of it. I was scared of going live. Anyone else feel this? Rob says, I remember Google Hangouts on Air a little bit. Okay, you're too young. You're too young. You're making me feel old here. And BAZ says, sometimes feeling nervous, sometimes secure. It can change. But back in the day, I felt really, really nervous. So I felt a bit like an imposter. I had to get over my fear of live. There was one time when I didn't go live for a whole month. And the reason I gave in my head was that my background wasn't good enough. My camera wasn't good enough. The real reason was I was too nervous. I was too scared about going live. I was worried about looking like an idiot. Let me know in the comments if you ever worry about looking like an idiot. Who else struggles with this? Comparing themselves with others. I was looking at other people out there going live, and I thought, well, I could never be like them. I could never be as good as them. So that was another excuse for me not to go live. Imposter syndrome was a big, big issue. So definitely. Martin Buckland says, oh, yes, I was nervous. Now facilitate Facebook Live frequently, thanks to you, Ian. Yeah, Martin, you were amazing. Martin really struggled with this, like I did, and he just needed that push in order to get him to go live for the first time. And now you can't stop him. So Melis says yes, definitely. So I think I'm not the only one. If we're going to be honest, most people feel like this. So I had to get over my fear of going live. I was definitely a bit of a mess, but something changed. And this is where I want to encourage you. If you feel that you are stressed or concerned about the tech or the gear or nervous in front of the camera, maybe you don't feel you're very good, there's definitely you don't need to worry. There is hope for you. So nowadays, I produce a consistent live show on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Periscope. In fact, I have two. I've got this show and the Confident Line Marketing Show. I've grown my YouTube channel. I've had amazing guests. I've had sponsors on the show and broadcasted hundreds of shows. And I do this every single week. I repurpose that into lots of different pieces of content, such as blog posts and my podcast and all that kind of stuff. So what is stopping you? What is stopping you? PAZ says, I don't need to be online to feel like an idiot. So no difference. I empathise with you on that one. My goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to embrace our inner idiots. What do you think? I'll talk a little bit more about that. So anyway, I asked my clients and audience all around the world what was stopping them. And I put this into this handy word cloud. Now, depending on the device that you're looking at, I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, but hopefully you can. You can see the big words. So consistency was a barrier for some people. Time, getting started, confidence, content, figuring out the tech. Actually, tech is not so big there. Equipment. I think a lot of people get overly excited by the tech, but yeah. So out of that word cloud, pick out, if you're watching this live on the replay, pick out some words that you identify with and post that in the comments. I'd love to know. Is it the camera? Is it the tech? Is it, what is it? Let me know. So I think we all suffer from one of these, or maybe more of these, what I call live video syndromes. It could be, maybe you describe yourself like you're an introvert. I'm an introvert, but sometimes we can use that as an excuse to say, oh, well, I can't go live. I'm an introvert. Or maybe you're comparing yourself to others. Maybe you feel like an idiot. You don't like how you look, or you don't like the way you sound. That was a big issue for me. Imposter syndrome. I feel like I need a big echo for that. Imposter syndrome. Yeah, that's another thing where you feel like you're a fraud. Technology excuse syndrome. So you'll feel that you need to get all the technology in place. You need to get the best equipment before you go live. Is that the issue? And I would say that I'm a recovering perfectionist. Any other recovering perfectionists in the room? You're trying to get things perfect before you go live. So yeah, big problem. Out says, so big comment here. So he says, I used to be put off by having low numbers of live viewers. But the other day I prepared a 12-minute video and had it set to auto-repeat as the message had to go out there, and published it on all my pages. I had it live for an hour and my live viewers never dropped under 30. At the end of the live stream had 4,000 reach. Wow, that is amazing. Awesome. Yeah, that's another big issue. The number of viewers. And you can be petrified either way. You can say, oh my goodness, I've only got one viewer. I've got no viewers. Nobody loves me. Or I've got like 300 viewers watching me live. That can be scary too. So yes, don't let that number get in the way. Don't get in the way. Melissa says it's getting started for her. Yeah, that could be a big issue. You just don't know where to start. Keep things simple is my reply to that, definitely. So 3 barriers of live video. We put it down into 3. It's the live video tech and gear. It's the live video confidence and fear. Or it's the content marketing sphere. It took me so long to get those together to rhyme. I hope you're impressed. Yeah. PAZ says, I could mention the sense that once you may make a bad impression, you are lost. So perfectionism that holds you back. Yeah, a lot of the problems I'm going to talk about are mindset. I know a lot of you will probably want me to talk about the tech and gear, and I'm going to have loads of these shows where we'll be talking about tech and gear. In fact, next week, I'm excited to have my good friend Jeff C on to talk about, and we're going to be talking about tech and gear as well as quite a few other things. But yeah, let's move on. Which one of those do you suffer from, do you think? Let me know. Okay, right. Let's talk about the tech and gear. Who's interested in that? Anyone interested in the tech and gear? What do you actually need to create your live video show? And so, Melissa, you said this. You said the thing for you is getting started. What do you need to get started? Well, this is the basics. I can see a few other comments coming through. I'll come back to those. What do you need to create your live video show? Okay, let's keep this simple. You either go live from your smartphone or your computer first. You need a device. So advantages with going live from your smartphone first. It can be more raw and authentic. It's easier to set up. It's great for those spontaneous lives as well. So if you're just going out on a walk and you want to go live, it's great. It's great for those outdoor lives and if you're giving a tour. So lots of really good things, but it's bringing in guests is not possible, or it's certainly not always possible. Facebook keep bringing in and out this feature that allows you to bring in guests on a smartphone app. I believe they brought it back recently. I haven't tested it, but it's not reliable in my opinion. You can't schedule your live broadcast, and also you can't share your screen. So pros and cons. Going live from your computer. Hopefully you've got a slightly more upgraded computer than that one, but you can do a more professional setup. You can use really cool cameras. You can save and repurpose your live videos for later. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. You can bring in guests, which is cool. You can share your screen. You can add videos and graphics, and you can schedule your live videos, which is awesome. Yeah, Rob says, let's talk about gear all day. Yeah, we could definitely talk about that. Melissa says, compare myself with others. Do you know what, Melissa? You are not alone. I still, if I don't remind myself about this, I still struggle with this. It's an ongoing thing. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next section. Okay, so computer and smartphone. Let's move on. So, what do you need in terms of your computer? If it's your smartphone, most smartphones will be absolutely fine. But if you're going to go live from your computer, depends on the software that you're going to use. So if you're going to use Restream Studio, you actually don't need a very powerful computer because it just works in the browser. If you're going to use other software like OBS Studio and Ecamm Live with Restream, you'll probably need a more powerful computer for that. So in an ideal world, I recommend either a Mac or a PC, but 16 gigabytes of RAM, and like a quad-core i7 processor if you can, and ideally a dedicated processor. But if you don't have any of those things, why don't you just test it out? And certainly start off with using Restream Studio, because you'll probably find you'll be absolutely fine with what you've got. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing that you need, if you can see that should say fast internet. You need fast internet. So what do I mean by that? It's your upload speed that's the most important thing here, because of course you're broadcasting your data. You're broadcasting data. In this case, it will be, if you're using Restream, you'll be broadcasting to Restream, or if you're broadcasting directly to Facebook or YouTube, you'll need good data upload speed. So at minimum, I recommend of 3 megabits per second. If you're going to do anything fancy and you want a bit more of a wiggle room there, then 10 megabits per second. Because the worst thing is that if you start and it fluctuates and your broadcast kind of cuts out halfway through, that's not good. So I highly recommend testing your speed every time you go live with a tool. I recommend speedtest.net. Speedtest.net is awesome. Let me just move that down a little bit so you can see. Speedtest.net is awesome. It's free. All you need to do is go to speedtest.net, and they've also got apps for Mac and PC as well, which is really cool. So definitely check that out. So speedtest.net. Let's see. We've got a few more comments. Out says, what does he say? I start to realize I must give my follower time to catch up, as Facebook keeps informing them that my live stream is on and considering geo time locations. Yeah, so I mean, there's a number of things there. First of all, to remember that when you go live, it will take your viewers probably about 10 or 12 seconds to catch up, because there's some latency. It takes time for your video to be streamed to either Restream or Facebook, and then Restream to do that, and for Facebook and YouTube and all those destinations to encode at their end. So it can take 10 to 12 seconds sometimes for that. But also, it obviously takes people time to join the live at the start. I will talk about this in a bit, but don't forget your replay viewers as well. That's really, really important. What do you need in terms of internet connection to be safe? I've just answered that. Yeah, you need, ideally, it's the upload speed that's important. 3 megabits per second is the minimum. I know people who've got lower, who've been just about okay, but the important thing here is that it's stable internet. And that's why I recommend, if you've got a little bit higher, like 5 or 6, if your internet speed goes down, you're probably still going to be okay. So that's great. Sneaky Joe says, actually, it's good to test speed at the Restream website. So yes, you can do that too. There's loads and loads of really cool things you can do there. In the UK, please don't use the 3G network. Best for home the best for home broadband is Virgin. Yeah. So I actually use Virgin Media here in the UK, although it did go down once, which wasn't good halfway through. But yes, 4G or 5G, you should be okay. Okay, cool. Let's move on. So I'm a big believer in bootstrapping your live video studio. Start simply and then build it up over time. The fancy microphone that I've got here, the lights that I've got, I didn't have at the start. In fact, I'm still upgrading things. I'm wanting to improve my background. I'm wanting to do improve my lighting and things like that. I'm still probably never going to be satisfied, but I'm building it slowly over time. So don't let the tech and the gear get in the way. What you need to do is bootstrap your live video studio. So what do you actually need? And I'd love to know what you use at the moment. Just don't let it get in the way. Gamertag says FPS settings. So FPS stands for frames per second. So as well as the resolution that you stream, this is an important point actually. So just to explain what Gamertag is talking about here. So you can actually broadcast to the different destinations at different resolutions. So you might have, for your TV, you might have a high definition TV, HD, or you might even have, if you're very posh, a 4K TV. And so that is all dependent on how many pixels on the screen. So full HD is 1920 pixels that way, and 1080 that way. I can't remember what 4K is, but it's a lot more than that. And so obviously the more data that you send, the more of a beast of an internet connection that you need. And it's the same with frames per second. So sometimes it will be 20. You might want to send 20 frames per second, or 40 frames per second, 60 frames per second, whatever it is. This is the number of times the frame refreshes. So the more you do, the more frames per second that you send, the bigger the connection you have. So he said, Gamertag says, frames per second settings also makes a big difference to the amount of bitrate you need. Some games, so this is particularly for gaming, don't have to be in 60 frames per second. I test live with YouTube by setting the video to private. Great point. So do test first before you go live and see whether your computer can cope with it and whether your internet speed can cope with it. Otherwise, just lower the frame rates in your software or the resolution, that kind of thing, which is cool. Oh, it says disclaimer, I don't work for Virgin, but I love it. Yeah, that's same here. Right, let's move on. Cool. Yeah, so do share with me what you use in your video studio, in your live video studio. And by the way, live video studio can be very, very simple. It can just be a couple of things. So remember, you could do this from your phone. You can do this from your computer. You don't need to use a webcam. And I've just realized that the prices on here are pre-lockdown prices. So unfortunately, you're going to struggle to find some of these even still, or the prices will have tripled, and I'm sorry about that. But if you can get them, that I recommend upgrading your camera. It will make a massive difference. The Logitech C920 is still pretty good. I've seen it for around $120, £120, so check that out. But there are some others. There's a 930E, and there's a Logitech Brio, which is the higher end one, which is good. Now, this is the camera I've got, the camera that I'm using at the moment. It's the Canon EOS M50. This is cool. It works with both Macs and PCs. If you're going to use it on a Mac, you can plug it in directly with USB. If you use either Ecamm Live software, which allows you to bring it in, or you can use Camera Live, or you can get some what's called an HDMI converter, which I'll talk about in a minute. On a PC, you can use SparkoCam. SparkoCam is some software that allows you to plug your Canon M50 directly into your computer. Ideally, get the extra lens as well, but that is more expensive. If you the other one, the Panasonic range of cameras is amazing. Bit more expensive here, but they are really, really good quality. You can't plug it in via USB, so you do need to get an HDMI adapter. The Elgato Camlink is really good if you can get it. So this allows you to plug that into your computer and use it like a webcam, which is cool. So what says, gear-wise, I use an i7 Asus Predator with GeForce GTX gaming laptop. That's cool. So yeah, ideally, gaming laptops or gaming computers are really good because they've got a little bit beefier systems as well. So whether it's a Mac or a P, you can't really get a gaming Mac, but you just need to look at getting upgrade your specs on that. Mic Focusrite 2i4 3-gen interface, which is I've got the what's it called, the 2i2, and I shut down all non-essential windows to lower process overall. Great point. So when you do your live shows, remember to reboot your computer and then close as many apps running in the background as possible. I will answer a few other comments here. So PAZ says, do you think the best resolution nowadays is 720p 30 frames per second if you don't stream games? Really good question. So yeah, I'll just leave that comment up. So it kind of depends on where you're streaming to. So if you're streaming to Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live or Periscope or a few of the other platforms, the maximum in most cases that you can stream to is 720p 30 frames per second. So if you're broadcasting to those channels, there's not much point broadcasting any higher than that. Now, I know some people on Facebook have got 1080p enabled, but the people that have got that enabled, they're very few and far between. So if you're broadcasting to YouTube, then you might want to stream in 1080p. For me personally, at the moment, I'm streaming in 1080p 30 frames per second because I want my YouTube videos to be the highest quality format. 4K is overkill for me. And LinkedIn, Facebook, all of those channels can cope with 1080p. If you stream 1080p at them, they'll just downscale that, which is great. Camera Canon DSLR 750, although I wish I had the Sony A7R3. Well, the Canon D750 is awesome. So, you don't need to worry. You can always upgrade that later. Great. So that's cameras. But what a lot of people forget are microphones, the sound. In fact, I would argue that the sound is even more important. If people can't hear you very well, then they're going to switch off. In fact, I think that sound is more important than video. So I would recommend spending your money on this first. There are different types of mics you can go for. The first kind, which a lot of live video people love, are the shotgun mics. The great thing about these is that you can have them away from your camera, behind your camera, and they'll pick up the sound from a distance away from you. That's why they're called shotgun mics. So a cheaper one is the Pixel MC650, about $40. If you wanted to go for a higher end one, the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus shotgun mic, bit more expensive, but that's awesome microphone. So if you're wanting the microphone to be off screen, then you could go for a shotgun mic. The ones I really like, because I'm also interested in the highest quality sound, and I also want to repurpose my live videos into podcasts. So I go for dynamic mics, such as the Samsung Q2U is an awesome mic. It's USB, so you can plug it directly in, but it also has XLR as well, if you want to upgrade that later on. There's also the Blue Yeti. Now, where's my Blue Yeti? This is how I started. Let's go back to this, if you can see. So let's zoom out a bit. So that's my Blue Yeti. This is a very, very popular microphone. The normal one is just USB. You can get one with XLR as well. These are really great, and also great for live video people because you don't have to have it too close to you. Having said that, I do recommend having it reasonably close and putting the gain down, because otherwise you can get a lot of background noise. And if the kids are watching Netflix downstairs, it can pick that up too. So this is the mic that I've got, which is the Heil PR40 microphone. So if I just lift it up to the screen, really, really nice microphone, this. If you can hear me, sorry, it needs to speak into it. Really nice microphone. It is XLR only. So in order to put it into your computer, you'll need an audio interface. So I've got the Scarlett 2i2, but you could go for the Solo. So that's a bit more expensive. I mean, that is actually very expensive for a microphone. You don't need that, but I love that. It says, absolutely, my next buy is the Rode Pro Mixer. And of course, there's the loads and loads of different things you could go for there. But again, it's about upgrading this over time. Cool. Right. Lighting is next. So you could make it really simple and just use something that's free, which is your window, and broadcast during the day. Make sure that you are facing the window and that the camera isn't facing the window. You don't want that because that's going to create problems. But if you're wanting to upgrade your lighting, you could get some soft boxes. They're the cheapest option from $40. They're quite cumbersome, big, and they tend to get a little bit warm. LED lights. So these are the ones that I use. The ones I use are from Neewer, which is Neewer, the 480 LEDs. They're really good. If you've got more of a budget, the Elgato range is awesome. You could check those out. So they're the Elgato key lights, which are great. And of course, you can do things like green screens and things like that. Now, okay, that brings me on to tools. And we're going to talk about that in another show in more detail. I've used pretty much all of the tools out there. I've written loads of articles about the tools. Restream is a tool, but it's also a service. Restream is actually not just a tool. I mean, it allows you to broadcast directly through Restream Studio, but it also allows you to use different tools out there like OBS Studio and Ecom Live to be able to broadcast to all these different networks. So you need to choose which tool is going to be best for your situation, and I'll talk about that in another show, which is great. Oh, Shane says, let's just check what he says. Shane says, you don't need SparkoCam. Canon has the software now. Shane, could you let me know a bit more about that? I assume that's for PC only because SparkoCam is the solution for PC. So effectively, Shane, are you saying that now on a PC, Canon has created a virtual webcam software? I'd love to know about that because I didn't know about that. That's awesome. Gamertag says, I highly recommend the Elgato key lights. Yes, I haven't got one myself, but it is on my list. It is on my list. So they're really cool because they work with the Stream Deck, these things, which I haven't talked about actually. I'll talk about these another time. These Stream Decks are really cool. They're configurable buttons that allow you to do things like change the scene. So I'm changing my scene like this. I'm zooming in and out like that using one of these. But also you can configure the Stream Deck to change the color temperature of your lights and all this kind of stuff. But if you're getting started, you don't need all that stuff. So don't make it too complicated. So that's live video tools. Shane says for Mac and Windows. I'd love to. Yeah, if you could, it'd be amazing if you could like show me a link to where you've seen that, because I'd really interested in that because I've been telling lots of people about that. EOS webcam is what it's called. Fab. Thank you, Shane. That's really cool. Let's go back to the screen. Sorry. Let's see. Ort also says never had any issues with newer products from Amazon and pricing too. Definitely. Newer products are really good. Elgato is really good as well. Definitely check that out. Yes, I use Restream Amplifier Alpha Universal and it works well. So you have to tell me what that is. I don't know what that is. Cool. Right. Let's move on. Cool. Let's go on to the next one, which is the next barrier, which is the confidence and the fear. You're afraid of pressing that button, or maybe you press that button, but you feel that you're not as confident as you would like. You want to improve that. Let's talk about that. And I think this is the elephant in the room that we don't tend to talk about a lot, which is perfectionism syndrome. I mentioned earlier that I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm determined to not let this get in the way anymore. But so often this me seeking to try and make things perfect means that I don't get started on projects because I'm waiting to get it perfect. In fact, my live show, which I started over a year ago, was 2 years in the making. I kid you not. And then I just got on with it and I've been broadcasting ever since, which is really cool. So, don't let this get in the way. So I've actually created this amazing, extremely accurate, confident video chart. Okay, so extensive research has gone into this. I'm only joking, but I wonder whether you empathize with this, okay? So you start at the beginning, your first live show, your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth live show. The fear factor is at the maximum. It's loads and loads of fear. And unfortunately, the quality of what you produce is not great either. So the fear factor is high, the quality factor is low, but you started at the beginning. Look what happens to the graph. Okay, it doesn't go straight up. You have blips along the way. You have your moments, but it goes up. You get more and more confident over time. The quality gets better over time, but you've got to start. You've got to start at the beginning. You've got to be prepared for your live shows. Now, this is probably a British thing. You've got to be okay with your live video shows being a bit pants to begin with, or not so good. It will get better over time, but you've got to start. You've got to start, and it will get better. You'll have blips along the way when things don't go well. Maybe one time you won't have very many viewers. Maybe the tech will go wrong. Maybe you just have a sudden panic, but generally it goes up. So that's really, really really great. Thank you, Shane. Shane has given me a link to that software. That's so helpful. Thank you so much. So yeah, do you identify with that? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this idiot syndrome, feeling like an idiot syndrome. And I want you to think about embracing the wrong, because actually people aren't wanting perfect. You know, I've stumbled over my words a few times in this show, but I've carried on. I'm still delivering what I hope is really good quality content, really helpful content to you. But, you know, a bit of humanity is good. So this happened to a good friend of mine, Janet Murray. She's an amazing entrepreneur in the UK. She forgot to switch her broadcast off at the end. This has happened to me as well. And she ended up just eating her lunch, which happened to be a crisp sandwich, potato chip sandwich. And she started to get loads of comments on, on Facebook Messenger or on Facebook saying, oh, what are you eating? And she was saying, what on earth's happening? How do people know? And then she realized she was live. Or maybe, as happened to a client of mine, you've got an amazing green screen background and that falls on top of you halfway through your live show. Or your cleaner comes in, starts emptying the trash. Do I need to say any more about this? Your kids come in and start storming your office. Yeah, that's nearly happened to me, but not quite. So I love this quote from Philip Kotler. It says, stop trying to be perfect. Marketers need to adapt to this new reality and create brands that behave like humans. Approachable and likable, but also vulnerable. Brands should become less intimidating. They should become authentic and honest, admit their flaws, and stop trying to seem perfect. What do you think about that? Is that what you want? Do you want perfect, or do you want approachability, likability? You want a bit of vulnerability too? I think I want that. That's what I want. I do want quality. I want professionalism, but I also want some of that too, which is really, really important. So let me know in the comments whether you empathize, whether you agree with that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you disagree, and that's absolutely fine. Right. So that brings me on to the next thing, which is, well, how do we become more confident? How do we improve our communication with our audience? How do we communicate our message? How do we press that go live button? And we do that with confidence. There's so many things to think about here. The first thing is to remember that if you have this fear, try and change that fear into excitement. The emotions of fear and excitement are very, very closely related. So instead of thinking, I'm really afraid, I'm really nervous, think to yourself, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this. And doing that little bit of mindset before you go live is going to be really helpful. But the other thing that I want to talk to you now is about confidence with your voice and your body. Christian's here. Great to see you, Christian. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, let me know if you agree with any of these things, but I'm not going to go through my Confident Live warm-up formula now. That's for another show. So these are basically some vocal warm-ups, some physical warm-ups, stretching your body, warming up your voice, that kind of thing, which I'll go through in more detail in another week, probably in 2 or 3 weeks time, which I know you're going to love. But I do want to go through the final one, in fact. So the 6 stages to this are relaxing your body, checking your posture, making sure you've got your back is straight, your shoulders are down, thinking about your breathing, making sure that your pitch is interesting, so you're not speaking on a monotone like this, because that's really, really boring. Your diction and your energy in the way you speak has got to be really important. People need to be able to hear exactly what you're saying. And then the final thing is heightened authenticity, which is really important. It says finding a balance, and I think you said also earlier on about the Elgato. Yes, but never bought the Stream Deck. Yeah, definitely get the Stream Deck if you can. It's awesome. So let's talk about heightened authenticity. What on earth do I mean by heightened authenticity? So this is all about being yourself. Authenticity. Don't try and be somebody else, because you're going to be able to do a very bad impression of somebody else. But you can do a great impression of you with all your flaws, but being authentic and professional. And that's what heightened authenticity is. It's about being yourself, but raising the energy levels up a little bit, because the camera is a bit of an energy sucking device. If you think about it, the camera is an inanimate object, and we're not used to communicating to cameras or inanimate objects. We're used to communicate to other human beings. We look into the white of somebody else's eyes and we communicate to them. And if you're in front of a camera, you can't see the people. I can't see you lovely people watching at the moment. So you have to train yourself to get over the energy sucking of the camera. So what I recommend that you do is to practice speaking at different energy levels. So there's different energy levels. If you're speaking with somebody on a one-to-one level, you're going to probably speak at this level. If you're speaking to a small group, the volume, the energy level will go up a little bit. If I was giving a workshop to 30 people or so, my energy levels would be even more. On a video or a live video, then my energy level needs to go up even more so that I get over the energy sucking of my camera. And then finally, if I was giving a keynote at a big conference on stage, I would be speaking at this level, which is far too over the top, but we'll go on to that in a minute. So what I want you to do is to practice speaking at those different energy levels. So if you run a business and you've got a tagline, or whatever, if you have a YouTube channel or something like that, what is your tagline? And then speak it at those different levels. So I'm going to just do this now. At a one-to-one level, I would say, then this is, by the way, this is my tagline. So level up your impact and authority using live video. If I was speaking to a small group, it would be level up your impact and authority using live video. So workshop would be level up your impact and authority using live video. If I was doing a live video, level up your impact and authority using live video. And if I was giving a keynote in front of 1,000 people on stage, level up your impact and authority using live video. Why do I ask you to do that fifth one? And the reason for that is because actually, if you've gone over the top and you've raised the energy levels far more than you would do on your live video, you've probably got the right energy level, actually. So sometimes we need to go more than we think. We need to exaggerate. So practice all those different energy levels. That's really, really important. Or it says, what do you do with a noisy neighbour banging away loudly all of a sudden when you are live streaming? I hate it. It makes me want to go mad. Yeah. Make fun of it. Unless you can speak to your neighbour, but that's probably tricky. Just, you could just make light of it. You say, oh dear, the neighbour's at it again. Here we go. You might find actually that the people on your live stream might not be able to hear it. And I've got a dynamic microphone and I have it close to me. So that reduces the likelihood of people hearing the background. And I've also got a DBX286S, which I can't show you at the moment. It's down below my desk. And that is basically what that has is it has noise cancellation. So it does a lot of that pre-processing beforehand. And that really, really helps, which is great. Oh, Brian's here. Brian Schulman's here. Yay! Voice your tribe in. Great to see. Yes. Bang along with them. That's great advice, Brian, because just have fun with it. Again, my friend Janet Murray, she had this issue in that I think somebody in the house flushed the toilet halfway through a live stream as well. By the way, I don't know whether you saw all of that. You might not have seen my slides for that, but basically, yes, those are the different energy levels. Sorry if I didn't share that with you, but one-to-one down to conference talk, those different energy levels is really important. And also it says, reminds me of taking lessons for voiceovers and public speaking. You know what? I think I don't hear this enough. For those of us who are involved with producing video and live video, these kind of things are really, really important. Well, 10 minutes to go until we need to go. Let me know if you've got any more comments. I'd love to help you with anything on any of these live shows. It'd be great. And also to let you know that this show is powered and is from, I should say, Restream. Restream, all you need to do is go to iag.me/Restream and you can sign up for a free account. You can broadcast to over 30 different destinations and you can do it from your browser with Restream Studio. So definitely check that out. I love Restream. I use Restream in all my shows to multi-stream to all these different destinations. And there's so much advantage with that. If you want to know a little bit more about the advantages, the pros, and some of the cons as well, then just go back to last episode. Just go to the Restream channel at YouTube and you can listen to and watch last week's episode, when I go through all the pros and the cons with multi-streaming, which is great. Awesome. Right. Sean says, I'm a fan of the Deity vMic D3 Pro. I don't know what that is. Let me know more. Sounds awesome. And Shane says, I would love to be a guest on your show. Well, yeah, just get in touch with me. My website is iag.me. It'd be lovely to hear from you. Great. Well, let's go on to the final section of this just before I finish, which is the bit that I actually am probably the most excited about, which is the content marketing sphere. I'm going to go into more detail in a forthcoming show about this, but I just wanted to quickly share with you my 5 Ps live video process. This is, if you're going to be doing a regular live show, these are the 5 bits that you need to remember. So just try and remember this: planning, pre-promotion, production, post-promotion, and repurposing. Really, really important stuff. Just to answer Diego very, very briefly, this is not related to what I'm talking about, but just want to answer this. Diego says, do you multi-broadcast on Instagram too? No, I don't. At the moment, you can't actually multicast. You can't broadcast to Instagram from your computer. You can't do that legitimately, at least, because Instagram has not opened up their API. There are some apps out there that technically allow you to do this, but I would not advise that. That's going against Instagram's terms and conditions. So the way I use Instagram is I will broadcast using Restream to all my different channels. And then after that, I don't always do this, but when I do, I will broadcast a quick summary live broadcast to Instagram from my phone. And I think that works much better for me, I think, and a lot of people, because people, I think they are expecting something that's a little bit more raw and authentic on Instagram. So I don't think actually broadcasting from your computer is necessary. That's my own opinion, at least. Yeah, there is a third party. There are some apps out there that allow you to do this, but don't, is my recommendation, because you could find that you get banned off Instagram. So that's my recommendation. Cool. Right. And that might change. Instagram might change it in the future. So the first P is planning. You need to plan what you're going to be talking about. If you're going to have guests on your show as well. So if I've got a guest on my show, I'll send them a link to, I use a service called Calendly for them to book a time with me. And I'm doing that for this show as well. I've got guests and they can book in with me to schedule that date and time of the live show. I then send them an email to tell them exactly what's involved. Sometimes I'll schedule a time with them just in case if they're new to live video, just to make sure that everything's working. Then I create a show doc. I definitely recommend this. Make sure that you've got everything written down, everything that you need to remember, the first thing that you're going to say, the last thing that you're going to say, and some points in this Google Doc. And then you can refer to that. Really important. Then creating a thumbnail image, you could use the likes of Canva or Easel or whatever tool that you feel comfortable with. And that's, we create that for this show. We upload that to YouTube and Facebook, and that's really cool. So that's really something that you all want to think about as well. Bringing in remote guests as well. If you're going to do that, then make sure you're sending them all the information to the guest in advance. If you're going to use Restream Studio, you just need to send them the link to be able to do that. Or if you're using other tools out there, you can just give them the link as well for that. Again, I use Calendly, and I send them a link to an email with all the information of what they are going to encounter in the show, so that they know what they're letting themselves in for. Yeah, some other great comments coming through. I'll get back to you in a minute. So once you've done that, it's then time to pre-promote your live shows. So you'll want to If you can schedule your Facebook Lives and your YouTube Lives a week in advance if you can. And then lots of other things you can do. You could create a calendar. I use the calendar from Add Events. This allows my audience to subscribe to all my future shows and know when I'm going to go live. But of course, you can use social media. So send your email list, an email that you're going to go live. Send it out on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all that kind of stuff. And again, I put this in my Google Doc so I know exactly what my tweets and my Facebook messages and all that kind of stuff I put there. Send an email to my guest the day before so that they know what they're doing. And don't forget your email subscribers. There's a great tool called SendTrick. It's free. They also have some paid plans. This allows you to embed a countdown timer in your emails, which is amazing, which creates that a little bit more of a, a bit more excitement, I think. So that's really cool. You can let your email subscribers know that you're going to go live. Then it's the day of you producing your live show. It's the time that you're going to go live. So we need to put some planning in place here. Make sure you have a live video checklist of all the things that you need to do, such as checking your internet, rebooting your computer, closing down the apps running in the background, checking your microphone and your video and your background, all that kind of stuff. Really important. Warm up your body and your voice. I've talked a little bit about that, and I will be talking more about my Confident Live warm-up formula in future. Start with a smile. Have some fun when you go live. Start with confidence. Don't say, am I live? Don't wait for your live viewers to join. Don't delay. Introduce your topic and yourself, of course. And then this is when I talk about your two viewers. You have to kind of put yourself in a bit of a time machine here, because the first people to watch your live show will be the people from the future, your replay audience. So greet them first. I do that on my show. I say, if you're watching the replay, put #replay in the comments. It's great to have you here. Once you've done that, hopefully you'll have some live viewers. So you then want to greet them. Spend some time greeting them, but don't spend too much time, because that then makes it very boring for your pre-recorded viewers as well. And it can get a bit distracting. Then make sure that you're engaging with the comments all the way through. If you do have a moderator working in the background, that's even better. But don't get distracted by them. I do this in sections. I'll talk for a little bit, then I'll go back to the comments, and I'll do it that way. Try not to get too distracted. And as I say, use a moderator or producer if you can. At the end, you want to summarize your content. Make sure you have a call to action and let people know when you're next going to go live. So for me, I'm going to be going live next Tuesday at the same time. And then if you have a guest on your show, do send an email to them afterwards, thanking them for being on the show. Realize we're running out of time, so I'll go through these final two things very quickly, because I'm going to go into more detail in another show. But once you've pressed the end broadcast button, that is not the end. There's so much more that you will want to do, such as promoting it, turning your live show into a piece of evergreen content. So on YouTube and Facebook, your live video will become like a pre-recorded video that people can watch the replay on. So you'll want to then send that out on social media to recommend that people watch the replay. That's what I'm going to be doing at the end of this, because people can go back and watch this again. So you can send that on social media to your email list. I always recommend Agora Pulse. It's a fantastic social media management tool, and it also works with LinkedIn comments as well. So if you want to reply to comments, which I definitely recommend doing across Facebook and or the other channels, you can do that using Agora Pulse or any other channel, or just natively on the networks as well. The bit that people forget the most is the repurposing side of things. And this is the bit that excites me the most. From your live show, you can quickly and easily create content that can be then repurposed into a plethora of different content out there, different formats. You can turn your live video into blog posts, social media images and videos, a podcast, LinkedIn video, YouTube video, so much that you can do. And this is what I do. This is what I do every single week. A couple of tools that will help you here. Not that many people know about this, so let me know if you do. Descript is a fairly new tool, which is amazing. You can drag your video into Descript and then edit the audio, not with the timeline, the waveform at the bottom, although you can do that, but you can edit words out. So it will transcribe the video into words, And then you can just like delete. If you went and you can delete those. If you misspoke, you can do that. And I believe there's another feature that's coming that you can sign up for that will actually add words in your voice, which is completely nuts. So if you forgot to say something, you can get it to speak in your voice, which is kind of crazy and dangerous at the same time. That's Descript.com. So you can transcribe your audio either using Rev or Descript. Rev is the service that I use very regularly. You can download a caption file. You could just cut out 30 second, 15-second clips. Use a tool like headliner.app to create these really engaging short videos as well. Then you could make it into a podcast. I use a service, Captivate is the host that I use. Got to give a big shout out to them because they are amazing. Captivate FM. Add your show notes to that and create a blog post as well. So you can embed that into your blog and from the transcription, create a blog post. That's what I do every time. So there we go. I think we got through all of that. I know we're kind of a little bit over time, but I had so much I wanted to share with you. Let's have a look. We've got some other comments here. I can see Christian is left a comment in Spanish. Unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish, but hopefully somebody from either the Restream team or somebody else will be able to respond to you. Sorry, Christian. Bart says, sorry I'm a little bit late in getting back to you, Bart says, any suggestions for live stream gaming? I suppose it depends on the kind of questions that you're looking for here. I mean, in terms of you can use a tool like OBS Studio or Ecom Live if you're on a Mac, and easily share that to Restream. And so you can definitely do that. There's also the Streamlabs OBS as well. It's another service from some Streamlabs. It's a souped up version of OBS. And yeah, I mean, if you can broadcast in 1080p or 4K, the higher the stream, the better. But you do need to have a pretty beefed up gaming computer to be able to do all of that. So just do some testing. Twitch is great for gaming as well. And if you get a Stream Deck, you can set up loads of really cool things on here to do with adding comments on the screen and doing that. And I know that the guys at Restream are adding loads of really cool features in the future, which is great. Ort says, is it best practice to have your live stream guests to sign a disclaimer, so to speak? That's interesting. I've never done that. So it depends what you mean. What's the disclaimer? So I think this depends on whether you trust your guests. For my show, I only ever bring in guests that I trust, that I've developed a relationship with over time, and then I have a good conversation with them at the beginning. They know what to say, what to say and what not to say. Although, quite frankly, I'm just really happy with just having a really authentic conversation. So yeah, maybe you could explain a little bit more about what you're talking about. Ort says, wish you could have this in a PDF. Just go to my website, iag.me. I can send you the slides for this. Just contact me through my contact form, and either myself or my assistant Tonya will get back to you on that. Ben Brick Design says, shoot, missed the beginning. No worries, you can actually rewind depending on where you're watching this on. You're watching on YouTube. You can actually rewind in real time, or at the end of the stream, this will turn into a pre-recorded video. Just give it a few minutes to be able to do that, which is great. I think that's the end of it. We've gone past the hour. And I think my voice is starting to go, despite having done all those warm-ups beforehand. I was just getting overly excited, I think. And I need some water. So always have some water next to your computer, although don't spill it on your computer. That's not a good idea. Fab. Well, I think that's it. Until next time, we go live every single week on the Restream channel. Next week, in fact, there's more that was not just this show. This is the Go Live with Restream show. Do check out the Restream channel, and you can find out all the other live shows that we have as well. So next week, I've got to think I said, let me just check this. Yes, next week I've got my good friend Jeff C on the show. He works with some amazing people out there, such as Kim Garst, Social Media Examiner, Tailwind, some fabulous shows out there. He's been multi-streaming for years and years and years, which is great. So this show goes live every week at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 4 p.m. in the UK. And I believe that's 8 a.m. Pacific. So That's fabulous. Well, wonderful. I think we'll leave it there. Melissa says thank you. Out says thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much for watching the show. I really don't take it for granted. It's awesome. So until next time, I encourage you to expand your audience and your reach through the power of multi-streaming video. And do check out Restream at iag.me/Restream. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Go Live with Restream from Ian Anderson Gray, the show from Restream that helps you expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video. Visit iag.me/Restream for more. And until next time, toodaloo.